Welcome to Uncaged, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Kenneth Landau. Hey, Kenny, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Ben? Very nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you as well, Kenny. I'm glad to have you on the show. Kenny is the CEO and co-founder of Mytaverse. Mytaverse is a company that's focused on developing immersive environments for business, reimagining how people work, and will become the business metaverse, enabling users to interact and experience the interconnected digital world in a true-to-life environment. So you see a lot of discussions about the metaverse. We're going to be talking about a company called Mytaverse, and Mytaverse is building the business side of things. So Kenny, excited to go through that with you. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Great. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Kenneth Landau. I started my career, I'm a civil engineer with an MBA, and started my career with McKinsey & Company as a consultant. Spent 2 years with McKinsey & Company when I decided that entrepreneurship was in my blood. So I actually left McKinsey to start my own business and spent the last 30 years building my own business. At the end of that period, I decided that I was ready for something different, something new. And with a group of investors, I invested in Jaime Lopez, my co-founder and CTO. While working with Jaime, right before COVID, we made an investment in his business, an immersive business in the real world. And we made that investment in January of 2020. And so everybody knows what happened the following 60 days after we made that investment in a business that was in the real world. And Jaime and I were then challenged by the environment to either pivot our business, the one we had made an investment in him, or actually die. And both of us got extremely creative with technology that Jaime was very aware and very familiar with, which was the Unreal Engine from Epic Games, an immersive technology. And we decided to deploy that technology for the future of business and create a business metaverse.
Yeah, and voila, here we have Mytaverse. So tell me where we are and what you're working on right now with Mytaverse.
Well, it's interesting because when we started the company, I'm going to give you a little bit of flavor on how that happened, is that I go back to my partners and investors in Jaime and I say, I think we should give it a shot and we should bring a very good customer and create the technology for the future of the metaverse in business. And PepsiCo was our first customer. So we got very, very lucky to have a customer like PepsiCo bet on us and make sure that they were the first one getting into the metaverse on a walled garden metaverse, which we created. And since then, we've been acquiring customers that are looking into the future of the metaverse. So what we are creating is a walled garden metaverse using the Unreal Engine from Epic Games as our base technology, our gaming technology, but creating an environment for businesses where they can interact, they can connect with not only internal stakeholders, but also bringing customers in. And so we're creating environments that are walled garden, cloud-based, immersive, for them to actually have a face-to-face interaction whenever they cannot get together. And so by doing that, we're bringing people together. We're from everywhere in the world. We have customers in Asia, we have customers in Europe, customers in the United States, and customers in Latin America. But when they bring people together, they're coming from all over the world, and they're having meaningful interactions in a 3D immersive environment.
That's great. So that would be used for events, small gatherings of teams. Tell me kind of the use case, how companies like Pepsi are actually utilizing it.
We have different use cases for different companies. The commonality is they use it for getting people together. And so, for example, PepsiCo, they're doing internal events. They're doing networking events. So they ask us to build a cafe for them where they can bring people from all over the world to sit down in different tables, each table with their own audio zone, and they can actually have interactions with people they have never met face-to-face in the past, and they feel they're there. But then we have Dassault Corporation, an aviation company from France.
Mhm.
Falcon Aviation, they create both commercial private airplanes as well as military airplanes, and we're working with the commercial airplanes. So they created a showroom. That's the second very important use case we're creating for customers. We create a showroom where they can bring their assets, so there are 3D assets in there, and they can bring then different stakeholders to interact with the assets. So we can actually bring different customers or potential customers of that company, they can bring them inside the airplane, sit down and have a meaningful conversation about the airplane itself and how it configures itself and the different leathers and carpets and wood that they want to see, and they can change it on the fly and see it inside the airplane. So that gives you an idea of how our customers are using the platform.
Does it require hardware for the customer, for the Pepsi and Falcon executives? Do they have to have essentially a virtual headset or anything like that, like an Oculus?
Well, our platform is hardware agnostic. So the way we created it was that you can use it from any Mac or any PC and a browser. No need to even download an application to your computer. Thinking about enterprise, thinking about large corporations, they don't like to be downloading software. They don't like to be tied to any hardware. So just by clicking on a link, registering and going through a website into this immersive world, it's all you need. And we have created all the technology behind it. So all of this is being cloud streamed using AWS infrastructure so that you can actually do it from anywhere at any time from any device. Now, the question becomes, can we do it with VR glasses? Absolutely, we could deploy, but it's not something the corporations and the customers we have are actually asking us for right now. So we will deploy eventually also for VR.
I think that that's wonderful. The flexibility there is critical. And certainly I would imagine adding another hardware element would just add another level of training and another hurdle. And so it's very exciting that it's flexible and can be used in multiple ways. But, you know, Kenny, we're at an interesting inflection point. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about the metaverse. What actually is it? You know, we have big companies like Facebook changing their names to Meta. And certainly a lot of discussion about the Web3 space and blockchain and all of those lovely, lovely cryptocurrency issues that we see. Tell me where you think we are right now, Kenny, in the whole evolution of this space.
Well, it's very interesting because there is, as you said, a lot of noise over Web3 and crypto and NFTs and Metaverse. And even within Metaverse, then you have several companies. So let me first explain a little bit about what we believe the metaverse is and will be. And basically, it will be the transformation from a 2D interaction to a 3D immersive interaction. The metaverse is not one company, it's an ecosystem of different interactions with different platforms. And if the bigger and the biggest companies in the world get their way with it, what you're going to see is people going from one platform to the next, depending on what type of interaction they're looking for. And so what we are finding right now is really at a great intersection where companies like Meta, they're betting a lot on VR, but there are other companies like Roblox and Microsoft and NVIDIA and Epic Games that they're not actually making it hardware agnostic. They're actually making it cloud agnostic. No matter where you are, you can use it. And so what the metaverse will be is a place where you can go in and do many different things, from meetings to conferences to an exhibit, or you can go and play with your son after you finish your meeting in a conference room. And all that interoperability will be very critical so that you can have your own persona in the metaverse. And so you don't require to log in and log out from 5 different platforms to go through your journey. And for me personally, it's very important to send the message that we are not betting, nor we want the face-to-face interactions to be eliminated. To the contrary, I don't think we can live without face-to-face. Right. The question is how we can enhance when you're not face-to-face, and that's the role of the metaverse. So when you're making an online purchase, how do you enhance the interaction between you and the website that you're purchasing from? Can you imagine just going into a store, walking the store, clicking on the item you want, that it becomes 3D, that you can turn around? And if you have a question, you can bring someone that will turn on the camera face-to-face with you and have that interaction with you. that's where we believe the metaverse will bring value to people, and instead of destroying value. And we're very, very happy to be part of this ecosystem right now, bringing the interaction within companies inside, also then bringing customers in to do that.
So Kenny, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here because I think it's fascinating. You started Mytaverse at a moment really of inflection for business in general. I really think that we'll look back at this pandemic as a watershed moment from the past to the future. And certainly I think the start of your business is a good example of that. So tell me a little bit about that journey from April 2020 when you dusted off the new logo and launched everything to where we are today.
Well, it was, as I mentioned before, it was a moment to pivot or die. And as many companies, we pivoted, and we saw a very big opportunity to create a platform that will bring people together in a way that has not been done before for businesses. And so it has been very interesting because we have deployed many different technologies to make it more and more real. We want people to feel they are there. And it's fascinating to see how our customers, when they spend a day on the platform, because our customers have the platform readily available for them 24/7 for the whole year. So they spend time in there. I mean, they may spend an hour today or an hour tomorrow, but then they do events. And in those events, they may spend 8 hours or 3 days for 8 hours. And what we hear them saying is fascinating. When we hear them saying, I spent time with band inside the platform,
right?
That is so fascinating and so energizing for us, because we understand that the impact we are creating goes beyond just a platform or the metaverse. We're connecting people, and that's really what keeps us going, making sure we can make people connect. And so the journey has been amazing, because we went through we have done 2 rounds of financing since then, making sure we keep the company going. And we need to make sure that we continue to bring people together from our organization. But as many companies do today, we have right now 45 people in every single continent in the world, in so many different cities. So we are remote, 100% remote, but still we bring people together. So we did a meeting for the whole company in Panama this year to make sure we connected physically. And so a lot of people were saying, why are you doing that? Why are you bringing people together? You're the metaverse. You're supposed to be bringing them into the metaverse. It is because of the same thing. We need to make sure we don't lose that face-to-face interaction. So again, bringing technologies together, making sure that we create that space where people feel safe. That's very important. We have created a metaverse where people can feel safe, because it's a walled garden metaverse. So when we create a metaverse for PepsiCo or for Dassault or for Truverse, we're doing it in a way that they control their own environment. We're not controlling it. They don't allow people that they don't want in. And that's very important, because there is a misconception about decentralization of Web3 and metaverse not necessarily is decentralized. You may make a metaverse that is actually controlled by the company that owns it, and they will allow people to come in or not come in. And that's part of our business model and how we brought it to life.
That's really interesting. And I mean, what a fascinating ride. I mean, we were all spending so much more time online and in various conference room facilities, whether it be a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams meeting. And certainly there were moments where we all were looking for enhanced ways of doing those things and more appealing. And to be perfectly honest, I think something just new, right? Something where people, because there was that lag of always being online, you really do need to kind of challenge and think. And so what a great opportunity to launch Mytaverse and the solutions that you and your team are providing. But here we go into 2023. There still is a lot of discussion about all things metaverse and how things are developing. And certainly there have been lovely kind of bumps in the road as people probably rationalize the challenges of things like cryptocurrencies, but so much promise, so much opportunity in the metaverse, broadly speaking, and in blockchain technology. I mean, what do you think 2023 looks like for us?
I would say that 2023 is going to be a year of adoption, and a year of education. Enterprise companies, I mean, corporations, there are two commonalities I find on every large corporation, again, PepsiCo-like corporations that we meet every single day. There are two commonalities. One, they don't clearly yet understand what the metaverse is, and I don't think anybody really understands. We're going through this process. But the second one is they know they have to be part of it, because they remember 30 years ago when Web 2 came about, when the websites came about and the e-commerce came about, and how important it is today, the early adoption that they had in the 90s. So we're seeing that commonality, and I think that this year is going to be a consolidating year where companies are going to start embracing the metaverse and start using it for internal use cases before they go outside their organizations. And we are really well positioned for that, because what we're doing is doing exactly that. We're educating customers. We're bringing customers into the platform in a way that is accessible financially, both financially as well as technologically, which is important, because if it would be a technology, as you said before, that requires specific hardware, where they need to make large investments in hardware, you're making it more difficult for them. But if technologically speaking, it's easy for them to embrace, and financially speaking, they can afford it, then it's a path to success. So we want to make sure we bring as many corporate customers to start embracing the metaverse, understanding the metaverse, so they can then take it to the next level in 2024 and start bringing customers in, start dealing with e-commerce, start dealing with showrooms that you can actually buy in those showrooms an airplane, a car, or a shoe from Nike. So we need to bring everybody together in that respect.
That's great. Well, Kenny, I mean, amazing to talk with you about the progress that Mytaverse has made over the last couple of years, and certainly also just helping spread the word on where we really are, what could be the business opportunities, how businesses should consider playing around with this stuff. It's really helpful. If someone wanted to reach you and talk more, where's the best place to find you?
You can log in. I mean, you can go to our website, www.mytaverse.com. But you can always email me, kenny@mytaverse.com. I mean, we have a very small organization. Even at 45 large, we feel we're very small. We have that direct touch with our customers and potential customers, and we treat each one of them as the only customers. So you can email me. I'll make sure that we reach out to any person wanting to understand and do a demo to understand better the metaverse. We're an ambassador of the metaverse, and that's
well. I mean, I think just to see the demo and to understand it better is something that every business that should do. This is definitely the way development is going in general, and so we read the headlines sometimes, and perhaps people think it's not happening, but it's happening. You know, Kenny, this has been super interesting to talk with you about the progress that Mytaverse has been making. We've been speaking with Kenneth Landau. He's the CEO and co-founder of Mytaverse. Mytaverse is a company focusing on developing immersive environments for business and really reimagining how people will work and building that business metaverse that will enable users to interact and experience the interconnected digital world in a much more true to life environment. Kenny, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Cheers.